Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's poppin', my friends? Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. He's making a note. I said Kyle Pitts is not going to get 6 fantasy points per game in year 1, and he believes he'll get over that.
Yeah.
So
we just a friendly bet.
We'll see what happens.
Let us know in the comments what you think about Kyle Pitts. He's gonna get one.
You're one of those. You're one of those over compulsive.
I don't think that's
college
over,
football scout.
I don't think that's over compulsive.
You get so excited about
6 fantasy points a game. I don't think is that crazy.
At this point, at this time in the year, there are certain people who get super. There's no football on, and there's really nothing else to talk about but the NFL draft, and so you get bored, and you just watch 20 games of Mac Jones, which is what I did.
Yeah.
And anyway, you end up with people who just get really hyped on players, saying they're going to be the best player of ever, and
like him on Mac Jones.
And what literally has him ranked 4 or 5.
4,
certainly not the greatest. Serviceable is a more accurate depiction of how I feel about Mac Jones.
You would take him in the top 10 for serviceable.
Yeah. Anyway, well. I think it's automatic. Like, to start is serviceable, but I think he has a chance to have a higher ceiling. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. Today we're going to talk about must draft second year running backs.
Okay.
So we usually do shows right around after the NFL draft about must draft players going into redraft season. But for this show, we're going to do must draft second year players overall. So we have a laundry list of many players, and we're not gonna talk about all of these players as must draft players.
Okay.
We are going to go through each one and discuss whether or not they are a must draft player or not, and what our feelings are on. Some guys we're probably just gonna skip over, like DJ Dallas. He's like the 17th running back on the roster. So. Yeah. But this is just like what I would consider the top 15 running backs that came out of last year's class. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. Must draft second year running backs. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on any social media platforms. Just search us.
Even Facebook.
Pop up. Even Facebook. Search us, we'll pop up. The Fantasy Champions or the FF Champs, whatever you want to do. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any other podcasting platforms, all you got to do over there is just leave a review and subscribe. Yep. Really as simple as that.
Tell us how amazing we are.
Yeah. Or how bad we are at fantasy football. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and then comment down below. As Rick said, if you make it to the end of the video, we'll tell you what to comment.
Okay.
Sounds good. So let's jump right into the must draft second year running backs without further ado. We're going to try to, I've been really, what's funny, I didn't even turn on the camera, so the whole beginning of this video is just going to be out of the feed.
I was making faces too.
Yeah, that's
especially on your comments about Mac
welcome in YouTube. Sorry. So we're going to jump right into the second year running backs. We'll start off with Clyde Edwards, first running back off the board in 2019 or 2020. I can't remember which one. Yeah. 2020, right?
2020 draft.
I don't know what year it is anymore, so I realized
you were having problems all before the show.
I was like looking at Kyle Pitts' numbers, and I'm like, 2020. He didn't play in.
Where's the 2021 numbers?
2021 numbers, bro? What the frick? Yeah, no, that's not a thing. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire was taken off the board, pick 32 by the Chiefs. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes.
He came in, and he actually had a relatively decent season. A lot of people drafted him. I would say overdrafted him. In some leagues in the top 5. Yeah,
I remember I think once he got to 10, I remember last year being anything higher than this is too much.
So based on, like, if you paced him out to a full season, give him the average points per game that he was getting, like even J.K. Dobbins finished ahead of him, but he only played Clyde only played in 13 games. If you give him 3 more games at the 12 points he was getting, he probably would have finished with, I'm bad at quick math, but is that 36? So he probably would have finished with 190. So he would have been right around 12, 11, which is where he went in our home league.
Yeah.
Right? 11 or 12, which is serviceable. Now, I feel like if you're drafting a guy at 11 or 12, you're probably expecting him to break out. So he was almost like a bust, but not a bust.
He was a little bit, just a little underwhelming, but he wasn't. I mean, you could say that about a lot of guys last year.
Yeah.
But he really wasn't bad. I think people could take advantage of him this year because people struggled with him last year and they took him having these high expectations. And this year he could be available in your late third round, maybe. And he's someone who could be a perfect RB2. I mean, I know people already who are completely out on Clyde for this year, and I don't really understand it because he was decent last year in the games that he played.
Yeah,
and there's a good chance he's only going to get better because they let go. Remember before Le'Veon Bell, I'm pretty sure he was a little bit better, and then when they added Bell, he was still okay, but didn't get as much work as he did. I think there's a chance he could get even more work next year.
There's a couple more variables, too, with Bell being gone, most likely not going back to the Chiefs, right? Yep. Damian Williams, they cut.
And even if Bell comes back, I don't think he's going to be really involved at all.
And there's no one else. I mean, James Conner's still on the market, but I don't really know if anyone else is going to sign with them. And they brought back, I can't remember who it was, but the fourth string running back, and they have Darryl
Williams.
No, it wasn't Darryl Williams. It was some pass catching running back that played for the Raiders before.
I don't remember. Devontae Booker?
No, somebody else.
Jeez,
but let's just forget about it. It doesn't really matter because he's the fourth guy. But anyway, Darryl Williams is the second running back, and that means Clyde is going to end up being the feature guy in that offense. So the question is he a must draft player going into 2021?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Let's see where he ends up, though, because if people hype him up again like next year, then no. I'm going to change my opinion on that. But as it stands right now, absolutely, he's a must.
Yeah, I'm trying to find his ADP just to clarify some of that.
On Fantasy Pros, he's ranked currently 18 among running backs.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that is overall, but that feels like a third round kind of guy. They have like DeAndre Swift, Joe Mixon, James Robinson, some guys we're going to talk about, J.K. Dobbins ahead of him. And he seems like he's kind of in that David Montgomery, Chris Carson, Josh Jacobs area.
Yeah. So this says he is going off the board at ADP of 18, which would be
that's a little higher than Fantasy Pros.
Was that freaking
second round? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I would take him.
I would still take him there too. Yeah.
I think mid-second, early third is probably where he's going to end up.
I mean, like Fantasy Pros has Clyde 18 and Josh Jacobs 19. For me, with Kenyon Drake on the Raiders, like it's not even close who I would rather have for next year. It's Clyde.
I told everyone the situation with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the offseason and that I loved him and I thought he was going to be real great, but there was this common consensus with all the fantasy community that he was going to get a ton of work in the passing game. And
I was one of those people.
It did not happen. I heard guys say that he was going to get 60 catches this year.
I didn't say that.
And 50 to 60 catches. And I was like, they didn't use Damian Williams like that. They didn't use Kareem Hunt like that. Andy Reid doesn't use running backs like that. What makes you think he's going to walk in and get 60 catches? Kareem Hunt, I think, averaged like 35 to 40 catches a season.
Now, to be
Clyde
fair,
Edwards-Helaire had 36 receptions.
I think my argument was you looked in the past and they did throw it to running backs, but it was just spread out. And I was like, well, if Clyde's a workhorse, he could get more of that. And they did. I mean, Bell had a decent amount of receptions while he was there too. So, maybe that number goes up from 36. I don't see 60. Like, I think that's pushing it, but I think it's possible with Bell's gone that he could
I think in
reach
year 2 that will go up
45 to 50.
But yeah, I mean he hit
Maybe.
200 plus. What would you say, 45 to 50?
Yeah,
yeah,
without Bell. If he's like the workhorse.
And I think too, you looked at. I want to see when did they sign Belk. I don't want to spend a million years on Clyde, but we need to fact check some of the fantasy community here.
I can check.
Because I want to go through the game logs of 2020 in the first half of the season before. Yeah, I think it was the first 6 weeks of the year. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire was on pace. This was his paced out per 16 games through. Did you see when Bell played his first game? Was against Atlanta?
It was against Denver.
Okay, week 1. So he played. Clyde played the first 6 weeks of the season without Le'Veon Bell as a part of the roster. This is his per 16 according to Pro Football Reference, 285 carries.
Okay,
that's a lot of carries. 1,347 yards, and then only 3 rushing touchdowns, which is not what anybody anticipated either. He'll get more rushing touchdowns in 2020. He was also paced out to 83 targets and 56 receptions for 472 yards. No receiving touchdowns either. Touchdowns were the biggest thing holding him back.
That's something that, I mean, is very that Chiefs offense could go up.
The pace that he was on was 1,700, or you know what? This is 1,800 yards. 1,800 yards, which is 180 fantasy points. And then 25 from the receptions, and you're at 200.
Yeah.
Which is a top 10 fantasy running back. Yep. And then that doesn't even include the touchdowns. So I think Clyde is a must draft in the second, third round, and you guys are missing out if you don't draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I might tweet that.
What this
numbers?
This numbers, yeah. Definitely tweet that, because I didn't. I said I was going to tweet something on the show last week, like an article, and I never did. Sorry, guys, I couldn't find it.
Twitter be lacking.
Whatever. So the next guy that we have on our list, we'll try not to talk about Jonathan Taylor for 7.5 minutes. Now this one is where we see Clyde, right? We see Clyde have all the space and opportunity to move now. No more guys in the offense. He has the opportunity to take this offense like full steam and do maybe that 285 or 300 touch season. You know what I mean? So Clyde has the opportunity to do that. Jonathan Taylor has Marlon Mack back.
It's scary.
And Jonathan Taylor right now, and I'm a Jonathan Taylor truther at heart.
Me too.
I love Jonathan Taylor. I think he's a legend. I think he's going to be a very good running back in the NFL. He's getting drafted at ADP 11 as the
now this ADP to be fair is kind of weird because it also has Josh Jacobs at 6.
You know what? I wasn't gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go into the 12-team PPR.
You know where they have him ranked on Fantasy Pros as of today?
Is it 5?
It's 6. Ahead of Nick Chubb.
So on the Fantasy Football calculator, they have Jonathan Taylor at the 1-9 as the 9th player off the board.
Oh, I don't know if I like that. I think that's actually. See, I was willing to take him at like 107, and then Marlon Mack signed, and it does push him back to. I feel like he's not going to be a top 5 running back if Marlon Mack is there.
The question is what happens.
I think he'll be a low end RB1, so like between RB6 and 10, and I don't know if I'd.
Does Jonathan Taylor become the new
tough.
Jordan Wilkins?
No,
Marlon Mack. I was saying that's what I meant to say. Does Marlon Mack become the new Jordan Wilkins?
I think
does he take a larger role in that offense? I think it's a big concern.
Taylor's it is a concern, but Taylor was good enough, I think, at the end of the year where he has solidified being at least the top guy, right? I think he's going to still get the most work in that offense. He's going to be the feature guy. It's just going to be a matter of how much Marlon Mack gets involved and how much they use Naheem Harris again. Yeah. And those details and those things that is a concern for Jonathan Taylor, and what is his ceiling because of it. Is he going to be McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook?
Harris?
What did I say?
I think you said Naheem Harris.
Oh.
Naheem Hines.
Whatever.
Pull it together, Rick.
Bro, come on.
No, I got you. I'm just joking.
I'm gonna leave. Yeah, no, but either way,
so
I still want Taylor.
Jordan Wilkins and Naheem Hines last year had 89 carries. Hines had 89 carries. Jordan Wilkins had 84 carries, respectively. If Marlon Mack comes in and Jonathan Taylor kind of takes, because there's a lot of targets going to Naheem Hines, and I don't know if they're going to continue using Hines like that. Considering how bad Carson Wentz was passing into the running backs last year.
That's a Phillip Rivers number, I think.
Yeah, that's a Phillip Rivers inflated number. So with Marlon Mack coming in, he's a decent pass catcher. Taylor's a decent pass catcher. I think both of them together can pick up the work in the target share portion of their offense. They targeted the running back position so much. Phillip Rivers, man. I don't even think you can go off last year. I think you have to go back to when they had Andrew Luck to kind of figure out maybe what they're going to do with the running back passing game. But anyway, as far as the running back rushing game, If you say that Wilkins, maybe Hines gets like 60 carries this year, and then you take the rest of them and say 100 carries goes to Marlon Mack, is that too little for Marlon Mack? I just think there's in every scenario that I'm playing out in my head, Jonathan Taylor is going to lose workload.
I don't think Marlon Mack is going to be as involved where it's really hurtful for Taylor.
That would give him 100 carries.
Yeah, I think that's probably where he's going to get. I think he'll get a little more than Wilkins.
And
then maybe Hines gets a little less. And
I could see Hines getting 60 rushes, Marlon Mack getting 120, and then Jonathan Taylor is hovering right around 200 to 215, and he loses.
I think Taylor gets more than 200.
I don't hope Taylor gets 200, but Marlon Mack,
it's a tough game though to play.
What's the contract to look like? What's this contract look like?
It was like 1 year, $2 million. It was nothing.
Okay, all right, yeah. I'm not concerned.
Okay, yeah.
I think you should in the NFL. You got to be cutthroat. You got to just you tore your Achilles. You lost your job. That's what happens. It is
very
what it is.
unfortunate.
And I think that Frank Reich has a little bit of a nice man in his soul somewhere. And he was probably like, I want to give him a...
What if they cut Marlon Mack in training camp? That's Taylor season.
Saddle what up? Does he become a top 5 pick? If that happens.
All right, let's relax.
Yeah. So the question is, must draft?
Yeah. It's Jonathan Taylor. He's still a must draft.
Hurts. That it is as a first round pick. When I play fantasy football, I do not like to take massive risks like that. And to me, that's a big risk. Is it worth the risk? It's one of those risks that if it pays off, you have a top 6 running back, and it also could go in the opposite direction where you end up with a mid-range RB2. I would take
Nick Chubb as of right now over him. I would take
if you get to the end of the first round and there's no running backs left, and your choices are Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, or Jonathan Taylor.
Would you take Zeke or Aaron Jones over Jonathan Taylor right now?
What about Austin Eckler too? Throw him in that conversation.
I think I would take Taylor over Eckler. But
okay. Yeah, I mean, I think where he's going is not a bad spot. I love how low Nick Chubb's gone. That's stealing candy from a baby, by the way. But anyway, do you have any more thoughts on Jonathan Taylor?
No, we can move on.
Okay. So, yes, Jonathan Taylor. Rick says he's a must draft. I say he's a risky must draft. I like it.
Okay.
Swift. Must draft all day, all night. I'll answer that question right away. Moving on.
Okay.
DeAndre Swift is going off the board 211 in 12-team leagues in PPR. Pick 22.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Where's he ranked on Fantasy Pros?
They have him ranked 15. So they do have him ahead of Dobbins and Robinson and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Josh Jacobs. So they do have him high, but
everyone's like, you know what, Jonathan Taylor, I love the guy. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Marlon Mack doesn't affect him at all, even though he's the starting running back for the Colts for 2 years, and he was actually starting over Jonathan Taylor starting last year. But let's throw that all aside. Jamal Williams signs with the Lions, and it's like, oh no, it's all over for Swift. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Jamal Williams is a career backup. Love him. Great kid. Funny guy.
Yeah.
Everything's good about. I love him as a running back. Hey, if he got an opportunity to start, he might actually be a good starting NFL running back. But he's a career backup,
and that's what he's going to be used.
And that's what he's going to be used
now. Detroit's offense is not going to be as good as it was last year.
That is very true. I was making fun of Rick on the Twitters, saying that
saying I like Mims over like Rieger.
Yeah, and I said I did Rick handshake emoji. Bad offenses in the NFL.
And then here you are, DeAndre Swift.
Buying into bad offenses. Here I am buying into DeAndre Swift. No, that's a fair point. Does that offense suck? Like, I think it's going to suck.
I think they're going to be one of the worst teams.
They need a wide receiver real bad.
That'll help.
Real bad.
But they don't have Galladay. You know who their wide receiver 1 is right now? It's Danny Amendola.
Yep.
They need like 2 receivers.
Maybe like 4. Maybe I'll reset.
Yeah, so but you could also look at that.
They need a new Madden Ultimate Team wide receiver pack.
You could look at it. You could look at it like, oh well, DeAndre Swift's going to get some passing game work.
Yeah,
maybe line him up in the slot.
No, that's true. He's also going to be him and Hawk. Man, are going to be the only weapons in that offense.
Yeah, I think where he's going is where I would take him. I wouldn't hype up Swift too much because of that offense.
If I'm in the late second round,
you're like on cocaine for DeAndre Swift.
Oh my God, I would love it. You know what it is though? It's because he can pass catch. That's I love it. PPR and half PPR leagues. It's
I like him.
It's a sexy draft pick.
I like him.
Okay, all right. Next guy, J.K. Dobbins. Must draft. Everyone's excited. Everyone's excited about him.
Yeah,
I
like
haven't
Dobbins.
really decided yet. 309 though.
See, this is the thing.
I feel like I'm just going to be stealing running backs this year.
309 for Dobbins.
Walk into the running back bank and just rob it.
There's actually, I haven't done as much as I want to do for redraft wise for running backs, so like these second year guys. But
I'll tell you what Rick has been doing over the last couple weeks. He's been drooling over Zach Wilson film
and Justin Fields and just a little bit of Trey Lance. which I know you don't. But anyway, yeah, draft stuff. But I actually do think J.K. Dobbins might be the worst of like the big guys. Yeah, that's true. And it's not even his fault. It's just they're going to use Gus. Did you see that Gus Edwards contract?
Well, back the truck up. I did not.
Look it up.
I feel like I need to be more prepared than this, but I did not see Gus Edwards' contract.
Yeah, he re-signed with the Ravens, and I think it was like...
Hold on a second.
That's not that bad. Never mind.
$3 million.
Yeah, it's not bad. I thought it was like way more.
Hold on a second. It's a base hit, $3 million. No incentives. No dead cap. Yeah, it's $3.3 million.
That's not bad. Then.
1 year.
Okay, well maybe we'll see on Dobbins. I thought he signed like a 3-year $15 million.
The thing that popped off the screen for me with Dobbins, not to interrupt you, but the fact that Clyde, he played 13 games and he actually finished behind J.K. Dobbins, and Dobbins didn't really fully start playing until
that's true.
Midway point of the season.
That's true.
And when they decided, they were like, you know what, what's his name? Mark Ingram just can't do it anymore. We're going to bench him.
Yeah. I mean, I would take any one of these guys. I love all of these dudes.
All of them need to be much drafted. This draft is similar to 2017 running back draft. Similar. I'm not saying it is.
Because people are going to have that expectation for this year and like dynasty and stuff.
Yeah.
I think really only one guy, maybe two, is going to be like this level of a running back.
Fair enough.
As all like 4, 5, 6
if you're talking about the Ravens offense, though, and like you can talk about Jonathan Taylor, and Frank Reich does like to run the football. You talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they're not going to run the football 300 times a season. It's just not going to happen. Sorry. They're not going to give a running back 300 rushes because Mahomes is just, he likes to flick it wherever he wants all the time. Okay?
Yeah.
So I think if you're talking about Dobbins physically running the football, he's going to be a guy that maybe hits the 300 carry mark this year for me because they run the football so much. They're going to run it 500 times.
Yeah, he's a must draft.
And you're telling me that if they run it 500 times and you reserve how many you want to give to Lamar? Let's say they run 560 times.
Lamar and Gus are both going to get a lot.
Stop with Gus. Get him out of here. Move away. So anyway, when you go through the games that he started, he didn't start any games. That's funny. Okay, I'm gonna go off week 10
when they
to
started using
16. So he paced out to 205 carries, 1,300 yards, 19 touchdowns, 11 targets, 8 catches, 85 yards. So the passing part of it,
8 catches.
He's not going to get. This is the biggest.
Like Derrick Henry.
You're right about the low end part of like the running backs. Like I would rather have Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and the other guy that we talked about, Antonio Gibson.
Dobbins might be the best on the ground out of all those guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he's not. He's a good pass catcher. I've seen him pass catch. He doesn't suck. It's just the offense. Their offense is never. He averages 10. He averages 10 yards per reception. He had 85 yards on just 8 catches.
Yeah.
And it was like that. Most running backs don't, like Miles Sanders, I think, is like 8 or 9. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. But anyway, if you're getting 10 yards per reception, you actually do a good job. If their offense doesn't utilize that position at all, so outside of like they don't use it in the passing game for that matter, and they don't pass it enough to even think like, okay, he's going to get 70 targets and catch 50 passes. Like that's not going to happen for Dobbins. He might catch 20 passes this year. I would think that would be 20 to 25. Was where I would. So
it's like Derrick Henry.
Essentially.
Yeah.
The question is, does he get those 300 carries? If he does, then he can be like Derrick Henry, finishing that top 6, top 5.
That's his ceiling.
Production. That's I think his ceiling. Not Derrick Henry, but I think a low end RB1 is probably where he's going to bank it. But if he doesn't have the passing work, if he has the passing work,
I think he's a pretty safe bet.
Safe third round pick.
Yeah.
All day. I might just take running backs all 3 rounds.
That's what my plan is.
Look, I still got my guy Miles Sanders here, Antonio.
But
Gibson,
you're gonna miss
3-2.
AJ Brown.
No, I'll just trade for him.
There you go.
Okay, so anyway, let's move on to the next guy. I went into the wrong show notes. It's Cam Akers. I don't know yet.
Yes.
You go. Okay, so you're a must draft. Cam Akers.
That offense is going to be better this year with Matt Stafford. He's 304. You went by him.
Oh,
he's 304. Okay. That offense is going to be much better at the end of last year.
Much better?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Well, much better. I don't know. It will be
after everyone's settled down. I really need to.
You want to go to his game logs again?
Yeah, I'm going to his game logs.
And go to when he started.
Last 3 games of the season. Let's go, baby. Okay, I'll throw in the 21 carry game against the Arizona Cardinals too.
Yeah,
he's girly maybe,
That's the expectation.
So he had, over the course of those 4 games, he had 344 carries for 1,360 yards.
And look at those playoffs. That is
disgusting, though. That's gross right there. 3.95 yards per attempt.
But to me, that isn't as impressive as what the playoffs is.
So just to give you the per 16 for the last 4 games this season, 1,300 yards on 344 attempts, 4 touchdowns. Rushing on the ground, and then he had 44. He had 1 touchdown a game essentially over the course of that time, I believe. Actually, no, he only got 1 touchdown. Anyway, 44 targets, 32 receptions, 384 yards. So he was okay through the air. Wasn't amazing, but he did good work in those games through the air. Rick is talking about the 2 playoff games. He had a total of 46 attempts in 2 games, 222 yards.
He was a workhorse in both
4.8 yards per carry, 2 rushing touchdowns, and then he only had 3 total catches for 51 yards over the course of those games. So overall, that is really good. And if you're I actually might like Cam Akers more than J.K. Dobbins. Now, Here's what's interesting too, because you said he was going to end up being like a 2nd-round pick. I don't. Well,
Fantasy Pros has him ranked 11. So according to Fantasy Pros, he is a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I mean, you're not including wide receivers in that.
No, but even
so,
this is running backs. But
yeah.
Still, I mean, overall, I think he's top 20, top 24, which would be a 2nd-round pick.
That's gross that they have Jefferson 311.
He's 18, so that's middle of 2nd round.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think he's going to be around a 3rd-round pick.
But if he's 3rd round, I love it. I mean,
all day.
Dude, 3rd round is lit.
If he gets 344 carries and he averages yards per attempt wise what he did in the postseason, I mean, he could shatter.
He's got that ceiling, which is why I would take him over Dobbins, because
must draft
the passing.
Why are there so many must draft 2nd-year running backs?
These are literally, dude, it's golden right now. Like
we didn't even get to Gibson.
I would rather the 2nd-year guys over like a lot of they're going to dominate. Like, we could see 5 of them in the top 12.
Let's do this. We'll put them in a box. Clyde, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, Antonio Gibson, or Joe Mixon.
For who I personally want to draft, I will take any of those guys over Joe Mixon. You can add James Robinson.
Miles Sanders.
You can add James Robinson.
Miles Sanders over those
guys? Miles Sanders and Dobbins will be debatable. But pretty much.
Okay, here's a gross one. Monty.
Oh, all these guys. All these guys. Yes.
He's top 4 running back last year.
I know. I like Monty more than I
310
did in the past.
Dude, I'm gonna have such a good draft this year.
Yeah,
I'm excited. We're doing a mock draft show on Thursday. I'm kind of excited to see what the crap happens in that thing.
All running backs.
Anyway, so we have the next guy, A.J. Dillon. I'm gonna say don't draft him.
Don't draft.
Right now, A.J. Dillon is going off the board.
He's probably way low, bro. Aaron Jones resigned, and even though Jamal Williams is gone, he might get a little more work.
He's going as 6'11". As a bench player, I wouldn't even go for that. So I'm gonna say,
you know what? I would as a bench player.
How much that makes me like Aaron Jones more? There's no Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
And A.J. Dillon can't pass catch.
Yeah, but
I'm going to get hate for that in the comments.
You know they're going to split the carries.
A.J. Dillon can pass catch.
They're going to split.
That's fair.
On the ground.
But who's going to get the ball in the red zone?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to say A.J. Dillon.
And if Aaron Jones gets hurt at all like he does every year.
At 6'11", the price tag of 6'11", it's
he's
not a
must draft though.
Pick.
He's not.
If you're in the market for a running back at 6'11", it's not a bad pick. I don't think he's a must draft. I don't think he's a guy that you have to have on your roster, where you could make the argument that maybe J.K. Dobbins is not a must draft either. But I think he's a solid guy with the opportunity. Is a solid opportunity. But I just don't think Dillon's not going to get enough opportunity. He doesn't offer any pass catching upside.
Can I ask why the Packers took Jordan Love in the first round, where he's going to sit for 5 years? And then they took A.J. Dillon in the 2nd round, who's going to be a backup running back.
I don't know what they're doing. You think the Patriots suck at player?
Well, it's 1 year for Green Bay. I mean.
Anyway, so yeah, Dillon's not a must draft for me. Do you have anything else to say on him?
No, we can move on.
All right, quickly with Antonio Gibson, he's a must draft.
You can take the field with Gibson.
100% a must draft. I'm just, you know what? I'm gonna just pop him into the Pro Football Reference. Mm-hmm. I almost forgot his name. That would have been terrible.
Fantasy Bros has Antonio Gibson ranked 12, so one spot right behind Cam Akers.
That is the grossest. I hate them for that.
That he's high?
No, that he's low.
Or lower. 12, bro. He's 12. It's almost.
What do they got in front of him? I would take Gibson over Akers and Eckler. and maybe Zeke.
Oh, you are so sweaty.
I did spend 2 first-round picks in a Superflex league for him, so that would kind of hurt my soul. Anyway,
to be fair, he got injured at this point, so go up to week 11 because he got injured in week 12.
So I just pasted out to a full season because he missed 2 weeks. So he had 194 carries.
And he was like
909 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns, 50 targets, 41 receptions for 282 yards. Now you might look at that and go, what the crap? He did all of this on, I think, I'm just guessing, right around 50 to 60% snap share, which is for a
ridiculous
Ron Rivera offense is very low. He's going to be a starting running back next year.
Yep.
He's going to get 225 plus
probably
carries.
Be in a slightly better offense.
Slightly better offense. Probably get 70 to 80 targets, and I think he's a lock to be a top 12 running back. Easy money. I'm not as excited about him as I was Miles Sanders last year because Miles Sanders hurt my soul.
But Gibson is your Miles Sanders.
Gibson is my Miles Sanders this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Gibson a lot. I think he's a perfect second-round pick. I think he fits right in with the can. To me, I'm a little lower on him, but still very high on him. I think he's a perfect second-round pick. He fits right in with the other guys we've been talking about, and I would gladly take him where he's going.
Yeah. So I think he's a must draft.
Yeah,
agreed
too.
James Robinson, is he a must draft?
As of today, yes. We'll see coming to the draft, but as of right now, they only signed Carlos Hyde. The stuff that Urban Meyer has said about him, they want to use him as a workhorse. I believe who was their offense coordinator? We had the coaches show, and I already forgot.
Yeah.
But I remember talking about they like using workhorse running backs. So he's got all that, and then what he did last year too was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he's gonna play in a better offense. So it's like
right.
It's like all these things with James Robinson. It's only good. It's really only good. It is scary, but like, what's the thing that scares you? It's just the capital, right? Because that's the only thing that scares me, the draft capital.
Yeah, because he's going off the board. It's not even that high either for him. It's like 2-3. So I'm not. He just kind of reminds me, like, every year for me, Aaron Jones is always like I don't know.
Is he that for
We're
you?
not feeling it.
Yeah.
And James Robinson's kind of that, but then he ends up working out, so maybe I need to consider him. There's just a lot of guys that I would slide in front of him.
They have him ranked, so like Fantasy Pros, they have him ranked 17. So they have Dobbins ahead of him. They have Swift ahead of him.
Right.
So all those, so you'd probably switch him with Clyde, but then around 18, RB 18.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. He was a top 10 running back last year, so
he was top 5, wasn't he?
I don't remember.
Like, he was good, man. And they're getting Trevor Lawrence.
7.
They're getting Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
New coaching staff. Yep. They brought in Marvin Jones. They're probably going to draft a receiver. They're definitely going to draft offensive line.
Okay.
I like it.
All right, so the next part, we're just going to say the guy's name, and then you're going to say no.
Okay.
Keyshawn Vaughn.
No.
Zach Moss.
No.
Darrellington Evans.
No.
Anthony McFarland.
No.
Okay, well, this is the one I actually kind of had interest in. He was a 4th-round pick. Pittsburgh, probably going to draft a running back, but they have no running backs there. So if he ends up being the starter next year, all bets are off.
Okay. The changes, I still don't like him even if he's a starter, but
fair enough. Josh Kelly, no.
No.
Eno Benjamin, now the 2nd running back.
Super low radar, but no.
Yeah. And then Michael P. Ryan.
No, definitely not a must draft, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens with him. If he goes into the season as a starting running back, maybe.
Yeah.
Not much draft, but maybe.
No, like if he just as a flyer.
Oh, yeah. Hold on a second. I want to see where he's going.
I believe.
Probably off the board, I would say, with Michael P. Ryan.
Dude, he is so far down.
Mac Jones. Mac Jones. My head.
He's RB 66.
Frick. And then DJ Dallas. So it's.
Dude, if he's a starter, I'll take him at RB 66. He's not going to be a starter though. I don't think.
Yeah.
Fair enough. They're either going to draft a running back or they'll sign someone late like Gurley or something.
Yeah. So there's your list of must draft running backs. We have on our list Clyde, Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Cam Akers, Antonio Gibson, James Robinson. Those guys, snatch them up in your leagues.
Yeah,
because you're going to need them. Top 7. I didn't know that was going to be a 7. We'll see you on Thursday.
Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.